Today we are going to take a look into the past at how Prescott's Lynx Creek turns into Lynx Lake and all the gold that was found there. Lynx Lake is a short 13 miles from downtown Prescott. Lynx Creek goes for miles throughout the Bradshaw Mountains. Because of the dam that was in place to create Lynx Lake, the creek dries up during the hotter season and flows throughout the rainy season and winter. Gold was first discovered in Lynx Creek in 1963 during the Civil War era. There are many mines that are located miles from and around the lake. Many of the mines have either been preserved by nature or have been destroyed over time. Legend has it that Lynx was given to the creek by two settlers of Prescott. They were out hunting and came across a lynx that they thought to be sleeping. Once they were close enough, they picked up the large cat and it bit one of the settlers. The other settler then shot the lynx, giving the creek its name. Once a dam was put in place, they continued the name to create Lynx Lake. The operations of mining for gold can be summarized into three categories. The first category is an early small-scale operation. The second category is a later large-scale operation. And the last category is an intermittent small-scale operation during the economy depressions. The first operations at Lynx Creek is an early small-scale operation which started from 1892 through 1895. They first built a highway bridge across from the creek and then a small dam about 2 miles downstream. What they used to look for gold was a steam shovel on a gravel ground about half a mile below the bridge. A steam shovel is a large excavating machine powered by steam that is designed for lifting and moving rock and soil in search for gold. Around 1900, a dredge was built by the company called Speck. Because of the roughness of the bedrock and lack of technology, it prevented any type of success for the miners. A few years later, F.G. Fitzmaurice, who lived in the city of Prescott and owned the property where they were mining, began operating a dredge through the Speck Company. After a short period of time, the dredge fell apart because of the lack of gold recovered within the area. They only accumulated about $800 worth of gold. In 1927, the Lynx Creek Mining Company attempted a larger scale operation which included a movable plant with an excavator, stacker, screens, and slices. 5 years later, a California-type dredge was installed on the property that Fitzmaurice owned by the lower dam. The dredge was operated within the following year of 1933 from March to July. This was operated by the Calgary Dredge Company. Within 2 months, 60,000 cubic yards of gravel was treated in search for gold. About half a mile below where the Calgary dredging was mining, the Bigelow Flat Company was leased by a Mr. Barnes. Barnes operated the mining by using a doodlebug in 1940 through 1941. A doodlebug is a device used in operations in unconventional methods of getting gravel to become a conventional gold-saving machine. It is used when water is not present or other factors of mining make conventional dredging operations impractical. This was the second type of operations used in search of gold. The third operation used were in intermittent small-scale operations. This type of mining has been carried on for many years within the big gold rush out in California. The gold was recovered by slicing large, dry slide gulches around the upper Lynx Lake Creek. Here, there was a large amount of men working on finding gold within a small 160 area plot. Approximately, the men earned about 50 cents per day. Fitzmaurice had about 500 to 600 men working for him at one period of time in search for as much gold as possible. From Lynx Creek, the total production of gold was about $2 million. This number is just from what was written down and recorded. Records of these early years were not available for keeping, and many individuals did not record the correct amount accurately, or if recorded at all. The most accurate production years were from 1914 through 1957. Within these 43 years, the total findings of gold totaled around $843,825. So where can we find gold today? Gold can be found in a multitude of places. It just depends on where you are searching for it. If you are searching for gold in a riverbed, search at the bottom, because gold is very heavy. We will cover this a bit more later on. Most commonly, gold is found laying on top of the soil or on bedrock. This bedrock is most likely to be underneath lighter sand and gravel that has been washed above from moving water. Bedrock is a solid layer of compact rock. Because bedrock is so solid, it stops the gold from sinking any further into the earth, and it becomes easier to find. Gold that is formed above the water will be exposed to the elements of nature. Because of the nature, gold will crack and break apart over time and will become dust flakes and nuggets that will eventually get washed into the lower valleys and gullies by more of Mother Nature's wind and rain. Searching for gold within a stream is the same. Gold will run down the river, and when the current slows down, the gold will then drop and settle into the gravel. So when searching for gold, it is mostly a good idea to search in front of it or behind of large boulders in the water. The gold will most likely stay around these large boulders until a large flood or runoff moves the water along or moves the boulder, where the gold will once again be on a new path down the river. There is a certain amount of gold that will be washed onto the hillsides and high shorelines of the creek, where it will be joined in some flakes and dust that will be found. The average cost of finding gold was reported to be 18 cents per cubic yard, and some of the gold was priced by how much they weighed. Some of these nuggets were worth as much as $16 to $80 per ounce. The lower end of the creek produced a finer grain gold that would be worth more, which started around $18 per ounce. Today, the price of gold is at an extreme. Gold per ounce is worth about $1,200. Looking back at the money earned at the time, that was actually a lot of money for the mining men. While 18 cents does not seem like a lot of money now, it was a full day's wage back in the 1800s. In 1952, Lynx Creek was dammed, and soon Lynx Lake was created. Lynx Lake was formed by the Arizona Game and Fish Department. The water was running into the lake from the original creek and was tested for different metals and minerals. Multiple metals were strong within the lake. These minerals and metals included active copper, silver, gold, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, lead, and zinc concentrations. Most of these minerals were diverted from the mines that were created back in the late 1800s and early 1900s when they were searching for gold. Because of the high levels of these minerals, Lynx Lake could not sustain a sport fishery until the water levels were lowered. Over time, the levels of the lake have decreased, and the fish and animal life have increased, creating a healthier environment for them to live in. The lake is stocked yearly to keep fishing population higher. Although, because the levels of the metals and minerals are still higher than the town would like, swimming is still prohibited. Gold is still found today around the lake and along the creek that still flows. The only way of finding gold at the lake is by panning with a traditional pan. The pans are either plastic or steel with ridges on one side to separate the dirt and gravel from the gold. Along the creek, there are multiple devices that can be used, including pans, hand prospecting, metal detectors, and a slice box. Gold is very heavy. It is about 19 times heavier than water and almost twice as heavy as lead. Because it is so heavy, it has a tendency to sink below anything and everything else within the water, which means that searching for gold will most likely be at the bottom of all riverbeds. Lynx Lake is now a 55-acre reservoir located within the Prescott National Forest. Around the lake is a trail that covers 2.5 miles of the entire shoreline. Lynx is one of the most popular recreational areas within central Arizona. Beyond panning for gold, there is plenty to keep busy with fishing, mountain biking, hiking, kayaking, archaeological sites, and horseback riding. A short distance to town to visit the historical Whiskey Row, where many of the miners would go to grab a cold brew after a long day of mining. Lynx Lake is now a 55-acre reservoir located within the Prescott National Forest. Around the lake is a trail that covers 2.5 miles of the entire shoreline. Lynx is one of the most popular recreational areas within central Arizona. Beyond panning for gold, there is plenty to keep busy with fishing, mountain biking, hiking, kayaking, archaeological sites, and horseback riding. A short distance to town to visit the historical Whiskey Row, where many of the miners would go to grab a cold brew after a long day of mining. The lake draws over 125,000 people annually and is one of Prescott's great natural wonders. So grab your pans and enjoy searching for your own golden nuggets today.